There's a drive way back. It might be. It could be. It is. Holy cow. Welcome to another broadcast of Bricks Behind the Ivy.
Hey, Cub fans, welcome to another episode of Bricks Behind the Ivy. Thank you so much to our awesome sponsors, Wrigleyville Sports, the best sports store in Wrigleyville, and Yaggy Road Roasting Company, based in Valparaiso, Indiana, serving cups of coffee just as special as the moments you drink them in.
Hello, welcome to Bricks Behind the Ivy.
Hey, Cub fans, it is your boy, Jeff Candid Cubs Rogowskis, coming to you after 9:30 Central here in Chicagoland, as we've got a full episode of Bricks Behind the Ivy for you all. Make sure you are, if you're a first-time listener or watcher, you're hitting that subscribe button, down there on YouTube. If you are watching and you haven't subscribed, make sure you hit that subscribe button soon, because if we get to 1,000 subscribers, I'm going to away 2 free Cub tickets of your choice to a game this year. So all you have to do is put hashtag Brickhead under the season preview episode with Mr. Cole Wright, and you could be qualifying to win Cub tickets. So make sure you're doing that. Hit subscribe here. Put hashtag Brickhead under the season preview for the Cubs with Cole Wright episode. And if we get to 1,000 subscribers, then a lucky person, a lucky Cub fan, will be getting 2 free tickets this year to a Cub game. So very, very easy, super, super fun. But thanks for joining me tonight. Man, what a week. The highs and lows of the first week of the season. I always enjoy getting baseball back, and I know it's not necessarily the first week for Cub fans, but it is the first week for Major League Baseball, as opening day was this past Thursday, and the Cubs did immediately erase that sour taste of that terrible Tokyo series out of our mouth with a much better opening day win, but still 2-2 split out in Arizona, out in the desert, and it doesn't feel as good given how the game today ended, with the Cubs taking a 6-1 lead with Kyle Tucker's 3-run bomb, and immediately just having that disintegrate 6-2, with the bullpen giving up several runs, 8 runs in the bottom of that inning for the Cubs to then go on and lose. So a little bit different than a 3-1 trip to the desert, 2-2. If you asked me beforehand, a split is really, really nice out there. The Diamondbacks are a very good team, but when you had them on the ropes, 97% win probability, and the bullpen comes in and did what it did, it makes it a little tougher to swallow. But if you are a longtime watcher of Bricks Behind the Ivy, you know that one of the mainstays of the show is the box score blitz, as Sean Hot Stove Cubbies Chabin used to do. A box score blitz. Box score blitz. Yeah, we're going to have to get a song. I'm going to have to ask my buddy Danny Rocket to help me out with that one. But without further ado, the first box score blitz of 2025. The first box score blitz of 2025, and here we go. Game 1, Justin Steele for Zach Gallen, as the Cubs open the season out in the desert. This one was a weird one, 39% hard hit ratio with both of these guys on the mound. Amaya had 5 RBIs, and Happer hits the first Cubs home run as the Cubs take Game 1. Game 2, Tyone versus Merrill Kelly, only 3 hits for the Cubs offense, 2 home runs by that Eugenio Suarez guy who has tortured the Cubs for years. Cubs lose Game 2, 8-1. Game 3, Shota Imanaga on the mound, 7 innings pitched, 3 hits, 1 earned run, 4 Ks, 14 whiffs. Finally, some swings and misses for this team. PCA has great defense. Swanson saves the game with some defense. In Game 4, Swanson homers, Seo homers, King Tuck homers again. Boyd with 11 whiffs, but the bullpen implodes late, and that is your box score blitz. There it is, guys. That's the weekend. 60 seconds, as we do every week during the regular season, as we did every week last year during the regular season. So stay tuned for more Box Score Blitz. All Box Score Blitz are brought to you by Yaggy Road Roasting Company. Make the coffee in your cup as special as the moments that you drink it in. Check that out. There's a link in the description of the podcast and in my bio to order Yaggy Road coffee. I was actually out in Valparaiso, Indiana today, and I bought a bag of Yaggy Road Roasting Company to replenish my stock because their coffee is amazing. So I would check that out. Go to their website, support small business, support alumni of Valparaiso University, my alma mater. Go Beacons forever. But yeah, check them out. If you're a big coffee guy, they roast their own beans. So good. Check them out today. But yeah, let's have a look at the standings as we sit here. Cubs obviously had that 2 games that they lost to the Dodgers out in Tokyo, making their standings look a little worse than just this weekend's performance, sitting at 2-4. The St. Louis Cardinals, who were not supposed to be a very good baseball team, swept the Minnesota Twins at their home ballpark this weekend, going 3-0. Cincinnati Reds struggled to close out games versus the San Francisco Giants at home, going 1-2 on the weekend. The Pirates lost 3 games with their bullpen, and it looked really rough for them to close out games. Feels like Paul Skeens has a really good line, and the Pirates lose could be the new Mike Trout meme. And the Milwaukee Brewers get torpedoed. And I mean that as a joke, as they give up just an insane number of home runs this weekend and get flattened by the New York Yankees out in the Bronx. So Cubs have work to do early. Obviously, this is an extremely small sample size, 2.5 games back of the St. Louis Cardinals. And the Cubs will be heading out to Sacramento to play the Athletics. And Major League Baseball has asked folks to refer to them as the Athletics, not the Oakland Athletics, not the Sacramento Athletics, just the Athletics as they wait to move to their new home in Las Vegas. What a weird situation that is. But yeah, I think there was a lot of positives for the Cubs this weekend, and there were some negatives. Obviously, we saw some things, and that's been the first 2 series. That has been the theme. We've seen some things that are reminiscent of, last year's team. And I think that's what's made people so concerned when the Cubs have lost the games and how they've lost the games, is that it feels like the same soup just reheated. The bullpen having issues, and the Cubs not seeming to have done enough in the offseason to address bullpen issues. And it's tough. It's tough to defend that. But I guess my where I'm sitting, we're looking at a Diamondbacks team that last year struck out less and chased less than most teams in baseball. They were 4th lowest strikeout rate in all of baseball. And the Cubs do not have a ton of swing and miss pitchers. And I think the story this weekend was really whiff rate. Jameson Taillon and Justin Steele. The Cubs ended up winning the game 1, 10-6. But Justin Steele was not getting whiffs in that game. He had 3 whiffs in his start, which is highly unusual for him. And he was getting tagged, but so is Zach Gallen. There was an early part of that game where the Cubs were, and the Diamondbacks, with Zach Gallen and Justin Steele, 2 very well established low contact achieving pitchers, had combined to give up over 55% hard hit rate just by the 4th inning. And yeah, I get that is a little bit of a nerd alert. But yes, hard hit rate is when the ball is hit above 95 miles per hour, which is your ball getting absolutely tagged. And that's just not what we were used to seeing from Justin Steele. And this is a trend that has kind of, started in spring training. His first start out in Tokyo wasn't that great. He did have some strikeouts in that game, but there were some walks and some hard hit balls. And this game wasn't necessarily the walk issue, but some hard hit balls. Jameson Taillon, his start wasn't too bad, besides the 2 pitches that he threw to Eugenio, as Pat Hughes would say, Eugenio Suarez. And Eugenio Suarez has 4 hits on the season, and it was 4 home runs. The guy has torched the Cubs in the past, and he had a huge weekend. All the home runs that the Diamondbacks hit this weekend, besides today, were by Eugenio Suarez. So yeah, the Cubs faced a team that doesn't strike out a lot, and they were not generating a lot of swing and miss until Shota Imanaga. Yes, Shota on Saturday. He did get 14 whiffs. He looked really good on the mound. He struggled a little bit early and then gave Craig Counsell 7 innings pitched, which was huge as they were able to use Porter Hodge and then the terrifying first experience of Ryan Presley to end that game. And Shota Imanaga is the Bricks Behind the Ivy pitcher of the week for his 7 innings pitched and his 14 whiffs with his 4 Ks on Saturday evening. Only 2 walks, looked super good. 3 hits, 1 earned run as well. And our hitter of the week is the aircraft carrier, as they would call him on MLB Network, Mr. Kyle Tucker. Hit his first home run as a Chicago Cub on Saturday, a 2-run bomb. Hit a 3-run homer that we thought iced the game today. He's got 2 home runs, and he's really started the season pretty hot, considering that, folks were calling him washed for only getting 1 hit all spring. He's up to 2 home runs and 7 RBIs, 4 walks, 5 strikeouts, 1 stolen base with a 940 OPS. Good job, Mr. Tucker. Good to see, because the Cubs are going to really need him for this offense to get going. So I do want to talk about the bullpen and my view of the bullpen at this moment and how concerned or how not concerned I am. And how are you feeling? Before I get into what I'm feeling, make sure you're leaving notes in the comments. If you're watching this on YouTube, find us on YouTube and leave a comment. How do you feel about the Cubs bullpen 6 games into the season? My guess is what I saw on Cubs Twitter. You're not feeling really good about the Cubs bullpen. You're feeling that Ryan Presley is a little bit of the Hector Neris 2.0. You're thinking some of these guys are a little too aged, and you're not seeing the production that you want out of the bullpen. And it's tough when you see Nate Pearson, who's, been in 3 games and he's going to have 5 earned runs and 4 walks. The Cubs had five innings this game, 5 straight innings in which they walked the leadoff man. And you can't do that in Major League Baseball. You just can't do it. You can't give runners to professional hitters, especially a Diamondbacks team that finished this weekend with a team OPS of 941 and a 398 on base percentage. They walked 15 times in this series, and that's all obviously from Cubs pitching. The Cubs, they're at 23 walks, but that's in 6 games. So those walks didn't come this weekend. They came, most of those walks came mixed between Japan and a bunch of other things. So it's a really tough situation to put yourself in. And yeah, we saw, Thalbar come in and get those 2 big outs with the bases loaded. One of them versus Eugenio Suarez as a lefty versus righty, which Eugenio has crushed in the history. It was nice to see him do that, but then he walked the first 2 batters in that fateful 8th inning today that really led to all the wheels coming off. And yeah, Eli Morgan, I could see him getting optioned given the amount of use and now a sky high ERA, because I believe he still has another option. And we could see Luke Little come up. We could see Daniel Palencia come up. There are a number of different guys. But yeah, to start the season, the Cubs had gotten Ryan Brazier off of waivers from the Dodgers. He's on the IL. Tyson Miller is also on the IL. There's been a lot of guys that they thought were going to be part of this opening day bullpen that are not healthy. And, there's just not, beyond Porter Hodge at this very moment, high-end strikeout stuff in this bullpen, which has been a concern that I think a lot of Cub fans, including myself, have pointed out that they needed more swing and miss stuff. And it'll be interesting to watch this Diamondbacks team that does have two really good pieces at the front of that rotation, and Gallen and Corbin Burns, which the Cubs were lucky to dodge Corbin Burns in this series. So I think if their offense stays as strong and doesn't have as many strikeouts in that lineup as they did this weekend and showed last year, they didn't strike out all that much or didn't chase that much, they're going to be a hard team to put away because it looks like they get on base a lot. And if some of the guys continue to slug like Ketel Marte and Corbin Carroll comes back into a little bit of a form. He slugged way better in the second half of 2024 than he did in the first half, which he looked truly atrocious, which like really showed just not the best stat line for him in aggregate. But if he is second half of 2024 Corbin Carroll and rookie of the year Corbin Carroll from 2023 from a Diamondbacks team that made a really solid run all the way to the World Series to just lose to the Rangers, they're going to be a dangerous team. And the Cubs will have to beat teams like the Dodgers and the Diamondbacks if they want to go anywhere. But yeah, the early part of this season, we all know, is a gauntlet. It's a very tough schedule, and playing 500 or surviving and winning more games at home and surviving on the road would be an acceptable result. Ryan Pressly. Let's talk about Ryan Pressly. He did not look great most of the spring. He's giving up a lot of hard contact, but we're not sure. I take spring numbers with a grain of salt because we're just not sure what guys are working on, especially veterans. And before I get into Ryan Pressly, I do want to start on a positive note. And let's bring in Harry Caray. Harry Caray has some deep thoughts, as usual, with opening day coming up this week at Wrigley, the Federal Landmark. Harry has got everything you need to know to prepare. So take it away, Harry, with another Deep Thoughts with Harry Caray.
And now, another Deep Thoughts with Harry Caray.
Holy cow! Hello again, everybody, and welcome back to Deep Thoughts with Harry on Bricks Behind the Ivy. Probably wondering, where the heck is he? Well, I'm at the grocery store at your local Jewel-Osco, stocking up for opening day, some hot dog, peanuts, Cracker Jacks, some cold Budweiser, and some of that good old Salsa King of Chicago. Boy, Marty, ooh, you make a good product. Anyway, getting ready for opening day, folks. Hope springs eternal and the Cubbies will thrive at 25. Hope to see you all out at the ballpark Friday, April 4th for a 120 dance against the San Diego Padres. Reminder that the gates open 90 minutes beforehand, but since this is opening day, the bar's open starting at 7 o'clock. Holy cow, let's tie one on, buddy. Anyway, if you line up along the blue carpet at the Highlander lot over on Waveland between 8:30 and 9:30, you'll be able to see our boys walking into the ballpark ready to strike the season. And the first pitch and seventh inning stretch will be by our own Cub Hall of Famer. So come on out to the old ball yard. 1060 West Addison will be rocking. Hope to see you there. So long, everybody. Holy cow!
Man, I just love Harry Caray. Thanks, Pat, for doing that for us again this week. And yes, the Cubs do return home this week. Let's do a quick preview of what's coming up the week of March 31st. Cubs have 3 games versus the Athletics, with probables being Ben Brown versus Joey Estes tomorrow. And then on Tuesday, the Cubs will have Justin Steele going versus Luis Severino, the big acquisition for the Athletics this offseason. And then on the afternoon game on Wednesday, the Cubs will have Jeffrey Springs for the Athletics with Jameson Tyone for the Cubs. It'll be interesting to see how many of these games they get in, as there is predicted rain of 85 to 95% both on Monday and Tuesday in Sacramento. So let's see if they get these ball games in at all. It'll be fun. It'll be interesting to see how they manage that with the schedule, if we'll have double headers right away. And then the Cubs are already off on Thursday prior to coming home for their home opener. So it could really put a interesting spin on what the probables and the rotation use is. So no probables announced yet for either team for the weekend series versus the Padres, given probably the off day and also if there are rainouts. So the Cubs have a 3-game set, all 120 games, as they should be, starting on Friday as the Cubs start their 2025 campaign at the Friendly Confines. Yes, very much looking forward to that series. The Padres just had a 4-game sweep over the Atlanta Braves, which a lot of folks have picked as going to the World Series or winning the World Series, given how deep that team is, and with Spencer Strider coming back to that rotation at some point this year, it'll be interesting to see how far they can go. But that is a very talented Padres team. The Major League roster is very talented. They don't have an intense amount of depth if there were to be any injuries. But at this moment, they look like a very solid club, with Fernando Tatis having a 429 batting average, 429 on base, and a 1.2 OPS, and a bunch of stolen bases, 3 stolen bases this weekend. Really looking super healthy and super productive for that team, which will be big if Manny misses time with an injury, as he was removed from a game with an injury on Saturday. So let's not bury the lead. Ryan Presley really made sure that Elvis left the building, pun intended, to this weekend, and not really instilling a bunch of confidence in Cub fans in his first true save appearance on Saturday night, allowing base runs to score, and really getting the win based on the heady and intelligent play by Mr. Lieutenant Dansby Swanson, tagging Garrett Hampson, the pinch runner at third base, who seemed a little bit caught off guard that Dansby didn't throw the first, knowing that Corbin Carroll was a very fast runner and the ball was not hit hard enough for him to get a play there. It was a really, really good tag. It was really nice to see, and it was nice for the Cubs to get that win, especially after today. But Ryan Presley has thrown 3 games. He's got 1 save and 1 save opportunity, 3 earned runs. He's given up a home run. He's got 4 walks and 1 strikeout. And really, he's suffering from the same situation that a lot of Cubs pitchers are suffering from. Too many walks. There's too many walks. So the Cubs really need to find the strike zone. And we're going to really find out in maybe the next few games if this is something that the Diamondbacks were just really locked in and not taking some of the Cubs' borderline pitches, or if this is a situation in which the team is struggling with control. So Ryan Presley, I saw lots of tweets this past weekend in which lots of folks were saying, this is Hector Neris 2.0. This is not a comfortable thing to watch. This is not good. I get it. I get that feeling, but he is a veteran. I know he's not young. He's going to put up, decent stats in some capacity for this team. If he doesn't, I think there might be a quicker leash this year than maybe Neris, but there really wasn't any other option for the Cubs last year with Neris having to step in as the veteran. Porter Hodge emerged later in the year as a potential option, and he's still potentially an option for this bullpen. But I'm not going to give up on Ryan Presley after one kind of shaky outing in which it is so early in the season and bullpens are volatile. These could be the worst appearances for a lot of these guys for a majority of the season or the rest of the season. So I think we really need to remember that Major League Baseball and bullpen usage is a marathon to manage, not the sprint. And you can't use high leverage relievers every day, and you can't use them every game. You have to manage knowing that there are certain guys available and certain guys that aren't available, and that there are times of the year in which you push those things, and there are times of the year where you don't. And I know there's a lot of insecurity about how many games the Cubs have left on the table with blown saves in the past 2 years, and the inability of Jed Hoyer to potentially construct a bullpen that will float this team into the playoffs. I don't think we're in that conversation yet. Not on the small sample. Not after 6 games. We're just not there. And I think we need to give it time. I do think that there are concerning trends. The hard hit rate of this group at this point, the alarming number of walks, giving free base runners for a pitching staff that doesn't seem to have an emergence of a strikeout pitcher in the back of the bullpen besides Porter Hodge at this point. Yes, we have Luke Little that could be, really solid down the line, but he has had control issues. Daniel Palencia, same thing. He has had control issues, but he's got elite velocity. they need to find guys that can throw strikes and throw out by guys so that when they're missing their spots, they're not getting hit hard. Where a lot of these soft tossers, which including in their rotation, if you're missing your spots, you're going to get hit pretty hard. And the Cubs experienced that a lot this weekend with the Diamondbacks team that seemed to have a very good approach. And the Cubs had 3 lefties pitch in this series, and the Diamondbacks hit lefties really hard, which makes Matthew Boyd's performance today and Shota Imanaga's performance this weekend that much more impressive, given that they had 14 and 11 whiffs, respectively. 5 strikeouts for Matthew Boyd, 4 strikeouts for Shota Imanaga. And I don't think Shota has had his best stuff, given that he has already walked way more batters up to this point than he did last year. I believe it took about 7 or 8 starts for him to have his first walk in the majors, where he already has 6 walks and 6 strikeouts in 11 innings pitch here in 2025. So I think that's all we have for this week. What are you thinking about the Cubs? How are you feeling about a 2-4 start in 6 games? I'm feeling okay about it. I know what this month is. I know they've got a challenging schedule ahead. I'm hoping they can win series or tie series moving forward while they survive a very tough stretch. If you're looking for my stuff, make sure you are following me at Candid Cubs on Twitter, following BBTI_pod on Instagram, and hitting that like and subscribe button here on YouTube. If you're listening to the audio podcast, thank you so much. Make sure you are rating us 5 stars and leaving a review. That is the best way to help Bricks Behind the Ivy grow, is to comment on the YouTube videos and to review the podcast wherever you listen to your podcast platform. So thank you so much for joining us this week. I'm hoping this week we see a little bit more stable of a bullpen performance, and that our beloved Cubbies thank you so much. Thank you to my sponsors, Yaggy Road Roasting Company and Wrigleyville Sports, the best sports store in Wrigleyville. Make sure you guys are filling their store and filling your shopping bags when you get down to Wrigley for the first homestands this weekend. Go to Wrigleyville Sports. Don't support the big box store that's right across the street. Make sure you shop small businesses like Yaggy Road and Wrigleyville Sports. Until next week, this is Candid Cubs. Make sure you're reading my stuff also at Cubs Insider. Another 3 Up, 3 Down every Monday, just like new Bricks Behind the Ivy every Monday. Thank you guys so much. Go Cubs, and I'll see you next week, hopefully with the return of Mr. Patrick Erickson. Good night, guys. Go Cubs.